What's up, everybody? Welcome to Never Stop Growing. I'm Jonathan Harrigan. I have another sketchbook tour for you. This is going to be the third sketchbook in my sketchbook challenge. This will be for the month of May. And this one was over drawing from observation or drawing from life. And this one, I gotta say, was a little bit harder. Well, actually, probably the hardest sketchbook I've ever done because this one had. I was approaching the end of the school year, and everything got kind of crazy, and so I had to do a lot of drawings in a really short amount of time. But this is the travel log sketchbook, and I will end up doing a review on this in the next coming days. So I will try to get through this kind of quick. But yeah, stick around and hopefully you guys enjoy. This one's going to give you probably a little bit more of a view of my actual life, like what's going on, kind of behind the scenes a little bit more than maybe the last two did, the hand lettering and the illustrative one, because you'll get to see like actual stuff from my life. So this one was a sanitation bottle. So this was at school. This is the last kind of I put this in as like a memory for me for later, to remember what kind of COVID was like. These are the things I had to use to spray all the tables off and all the things off. So here are some sketches, some quick sketches of students that I had in various classes, and I started putting like little notes down at the bottom to remind myself of what was going on. So this is kind of study hall, kids putting their heads down, more different classes, a lot of people with masks on, just pretty normal, I guess, now, but I want to remember later. And that's one of the great things about sketchbooks, is that they give you kind of like a snapshot in time. This one was a breakfast that I had with a weird mug that I had made. This is a snapshot of my living room, or my living room looking into my dining room. Some plants that are on the table. These were very quick gestural sketches of my son. He's a toddler right now, so I was trying to get him in these, but it's really hard to draw somebody, especially a toddler, that's moving. So that was good practice, but they're not perfect, and that's okay. This sketchbook really demonstrates how nothing has to be perfect. You're running through these things, and it's your ideas or your environment on paper. So this is the final meeting at school. I'm in the auditorium. Just a quick sketch of that. This was again one of my classes, and trying to get as much of the information in as possible in a really short amount of time. So these were two students, and this was portrait drawing practice, and so this girl was sitting across the table and this girl was sitting across the table, and they were drawing each other. So I like this one. I think this one turned out pretty good. So this was some raw materials that I had for ceramics class. I teach a ceramics class, and so these are some glazed materials, bags of glazed materials that I ended up using my Prismacolor pencils on, my colored pencils on, and I like the way that turned out. They blend well, but they don't have really sharp lines. They don't keep the sharp lines. This was my attempt at watercolor in here. So I did this in watercolor, and this was a full moon that happened just before the end of school, and it was just a beautiful night. So I ended up walking out on my front porch and doing this moon, trying to capture this full moon. And I like it. It turned out pretty cool. You can see down here though, some of the places where the watercolor kind of bunched up and did like this weird thing on the paper, and I think that's just part of like the tooth of the paper and the weight of it, like not being able to kind of handle that much water. But that's okay. Overall, the watercolor turned out pretty good for not being watercolor paper. This is my ramen bowl. So lunch one day, again with the colored pencils. This is a courtyard at the school, so I ended up just quickly sketching in the courtyard and trying to get in shadows and patterns. So yeah. This is a bouquet of peonies that we had on the table. This is the time of year in the season where we go and we pick up peony flowers from our yard. We have some peonies that grow on the side, and we just put them together, and it was really pretty, so I thought I'd put it together and do some watercolor, and I really like the way this turned out. This is a church at a reunion or like at a family get together that we were hanging out at, and it was down the street, so I just started sketching it. This is at the park. So I went to the park. We went to the park for part of the birthday parties to celebrate my in-laws, and this is just a tree in the park, and so I started sketching that out. I had some cool telephone poles, and the wires were kind of going over this really cool big tree. So yeah, that one was really fun. Got some blank pages, and then this was a time where we went to the park. So we went out to the park, and my family did some watercolor sketching in the park, and so this is a park by our house, and so we ended up doing that and trying to pick up some of the shadows. So yeah, another example of kind of watercolor in this sketchbook, and I think honestly overall it does pretty good. So this was a house by mine, kind of catty-cornered to mine, a house in the neighborhood. Just kind of coming around, drawing what I see, and trying to pick up some of the shadows and get the information down as quickly as possible. This is this used to be an old fire station, and this one's actually really cool, really special to me and my wife because we had a couple dates here. It used to be a tea house, but after it was a fire station, it was a tea house, and so we would go here and we would have tea. It's no longer that. It's something else, but yeah. This is a papasan chair that was in my living room. Just kind of quickly sketching into things that I had. Like I said, this one I had to do kind of fast and toward the end, so of the month. So here's one of my sons, and here's another one of my sons. This one I ended up going over with ink, and I probably should have done the same thing with this one, but just very quick sketches. They look kind of rough, but this is a sink, like a kitchen sink, or I mean the bathroom sink in my house, and just what was available around there. A comb. So this is where we started picking up. I was just trying to find as much stuff as possible, and that was actually pretty hard for me to find. Part of the reason why this sketchbook was so hard for me was I had to find objects to draw, and I thought that would be easy, but it wasn't. Like just finding things that were interesting enough to draw, or that I thought that I wanted to draw. So I started doing time sketches just to try and fill the time, because I had to cram as much of these into like a day pretty much as possible. And I did this. This was like a 3-minute sketch of the French press. And I started jotting this down. This is like a 3 to 5 minute sketch. I think it's probably closer to the 5-minute sketch of like the tea kettle. A Russian doll. It's a 3 to 5 minute sketch that was sitting on our window pane. Blank pages. This one is a flower pot that was also sitting on the windowsill. This one is a 3-minute sketch. And this one I tried to play around a little bit with like contrast more than anything else. So playing with going over it in marker or pen and seeing first how the pen like did with the paper. It did okay. Didn't bleed through too much, but yeah, just playing around with that. This was just another cup. This is a 2-minute sketch, just trying to fill some space and get some practice in. This is an animal that I had on the desk. Like a little plastic figurine that I had. This is a ukulele that I have sitting in my office that I have no idea how to play, but I still have. And this one is the lamp that I have sitting in the corner of my studio. So I was playing a little bit with the lighting on here, or trying as much as I could to jot down the information as quickly as possible. This is a tea set that my wife and I got when we went to China. A tea table. This is our van. I just went right outside of our house and started sketching it on our way to the park. And this is the park that we were going to. This is the park that's by our house. You can see like this is the opening to the play entrance, and then these are all some of the other apparatus that you get onto. This is all part of one thing. And this was, again, like the sketchbook was kind of hard to get through. It's hard a little bit to see some of the stuff, and it's kind of rough and sketchy, but it was harder to draw it from life than I thought it would be. I don't have the time that I do when I have a picture of something sitting in front of me. This was the fountain at the park, and this is the first time it had been turned on since COVID. So these notes I started jotting in the corner have been like really helpful, just to go back and to remember some of like the things that I was thinking or remembering in the moment, to some of these pictures about my environment or my life. This is one of our trash cans, so just random stuff, a chair, a lawn chair that was in our yard. This is the alley behind my house. You can kind of see it. It's hard to tell, but like it goes back to there, and then like this is my shed, and then the lamps, and the alley, and my neighbor's fence, and some more sheds. This is one of my mugs that I made. So lots of coffee. This is our grill. So yeah, just some random things. A gas meter. This is the gas meter behind our house. So kind of just playing with all of the things that I would regularly see or have around me during a day. We have some fruit trees that are planted along the fence in our house, and this is one of those fruit trees that we planted from a couple years ago. This is the shed and fence behind my house. This is like our shed and the fence. This is one of the plants, one of the many house plants that we have around our house. So I sat one down and started sketching it. This is the windowsill by the kitchen, the same one that had like the little doll and some of the other things that I've drawn previously. This was a deck toy that we had out on the deck. Again, just trying to find things to draw. One of the kids just left this out on the deck, so I drew that. This is the hamper, or the wardrobe hamper, or pantry, sorry. We have a big wardrobe, like a big Narnia wardrobe that we have in our kitchen, and we fill it with stuff, and it's become our pantry. And so this is a picture of that. That was really fun. There were a couple other artists that I saw that drew a lot of the stuff around them, and they inspired me, and I'll put a couple of the names in the description below. But this is the couch in our living room covered in laundry. This one's kind of rough. This one's actually really simple, but it's looking out from inside of my shed to my SUV out there, and kind of some of the other stuff. This is a sky view of like kind of the tops of the sheds and like the power lines. So yeah. This is a kind of view of my house, a front view of my house, very, very quickly. Very quick sketch from the front, kind of closer to dusk and nighttime, so it was getting a little bit harder to see. This is a view of the bathroom. So we have a clawfoot tub and a shower curtain that kind of comes around it up here. This is a top view of my kids' toy box. So it's kind of hard to see like from the image, but there are like various different types of toys that I tried to pull out here. And then also trying to push the shadows because there was a lot of information to kind of work through. So I tried to pull out the things that were most important. So this is a image of the cupboard. So I opened the cupboard up and just started drawing some of the cups. You can see like these are cups that we had. Thermoses, and then like the tops of like a blender or something like that, and this is the door. So another plant, so this is a fiddle leaf fig that we have growing in the house. A brush, one of the paint brushes from the studio. This is my Nintendo Switch that I do not often play or don't often get to play. But it sits in the office or sits in the studio, so yeah, I thought I'd sketch it out. This is another plant, kind of like a cactus type plant. It's called a euphorbia, and it is in the studio. Need kind of a better home for it, but that's where it is. And then this is the last sketch that I did, and this is the door going out of my studio, and I thought that was appropriate because it was the end and I was ready to just open the door and leave this sketchbook behind me. And so while I have to say that, yeah, and the rest of this is blank, and I'm gonna end up, I've kept a couple pages where normally I would just tear them out because the challenge is only 100 pages to fill 100 pages, and it's really hard to find a sketchbook that only has 100 pages. So normally I end up either like having to cut pages out, or I'll probably have to add pages into other sketchbooks to get to that 100 pages. But yeah, it was a lot. This one was by far the hardest sketchbook I've ever had to do, just because specifically the time restraints, and then also trying to draw stuff, like finding things to draw, and having the time to draw them. Like the two coupled together made this just super horrible, like to try to like work my way through, but we persevered. You can see like obviously the beginning sketches, probably even up to like this point, maybe up to here ish, probably like up to the house here. These ones I put like a ton, I put a lot more effort and time into, because I had more time, you know. And these ones I had to kind of rush through. I had to time. I did in order to actually get them done. And they were pretty much done in the span of 24 hours. So it was a lot to draw. But I felt like hopefully I learned a lot, you know, going through it and trying to identify shadows and values and shapes, because at the end of the day, that's really what it's about, is giving yourself something to draw. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you liked this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Also, you can check out the other sketchbook tours. They'll be linked in the description below. If you like stuff like this, or you're interested in other tutorials or other projects, make sure that you hit the subscribe button for more videos like this one. Keep at it, never stop growing, and I'll see you guys in the next video.